Right, so this is what I've got to sort through. This is what's left of my books. I have had to get rid of a lot of books in my life. I've moved around a lot, and I lived with a guy for a long time who obsessively hoarded records, magazines, DVDs, CDs, you name it. And there just wasn't really room for my stuff. So the art books, they've gone already. They were up there, and that's boxed up is the classics. They've already been boxed up. They're not going anywhere. Well, they are. They're going with me. So these I am going to sort into besties, keepers, poetry, and rehome. Yeah. And I'm not that, when I look at other people's bookshelves, I think how organised they are. I'm not terribly, look, there's a John Irving there, and then there's some John Irvings down there. I only sort of order them by, I think I just do it by height. I don't like it if they're iddledy-piddledy height-wise. Okay, right, let's get into it then. Right, so the Sue Townsend, they are going to go on the besties pile. They're not going to be going anywhere. There's another Sue there. We'll start with them. Right, John, let's have John. To be fair, right, that one is not my favourite, John Irving. A lot of my John Irvings I've lent to people and then they've just never come back. So I've got these three. So we've got Widow for a Year, Garp, and we've got, obviously, Owen Meany. So they've got to be on the besties pile. What did I just see there? Right, A.M. Homes. We've got some A.M. Homes. That's the besties. We've got some Vonnegut as well. They're going to go on there as well. Kate Atkinson, you can go in the keepers pile. The Wasp Factory, bestie. Life of Pi and Huckleberry Finn. They are besties also. Oh, Drew. Right. There's one missing. Right, besties, obviously, all my Drews. I've got one missing. Where's Mickey James? Where is he? Where's Mickey gone? He's there. He's there, hiding at the end. Right. They're obviously besties. Right, Don DeLillo, that's got to go. That's one that, look, that was a casualty of the floods, that one. Right, what we got here? Let's have a look. Oh, something about autism. Right, you can be rehomed. Dimitri Martin. I'll talk about him when I do. I'm going to do a short story. My favourite short stories at some point. Summer Water. Do you know what? I'm going to rehome that. Not that bothered. Right, this is an A.M. Homes that I wasn't that bothered about, the unfolding. So I'm going to rehome that. Somebody else can have the pleasure of that. It was all right. It wasn't terrible. Right, Orlando is got to be a keeper. I can't get rid of that. Thomas More is a keeper. Oh, wow. Oh, what a great book. I'm going to have to talk about this at some point. I might do a historical fiction thing. Another one, Another Casualty. Whew, smells. Right, that's a keeper. Now, Mumbo Jumbo. I don't think I'm going to get rid of that, but it's not one of my favourites. Troubles, same. Can't get rid of it. It's Irish fiction, so it's not going to get rid. But right, now, these were not my favourite Don DeLillos, so they can be rehomed, those two, Dead Zone and Great Jones Street. If anybody wants them, they are. A lot of these are the ones that got knackered in the flood. Right, the notable brain of my apologies, John Ironmonger, because you did follow me back on Instagram, but I think I DNF'd that. I read a fair bit of it. It's an interesting concept, but I got fed up of it. Sorry, John. Right. Gatsby is obviously on the besties pile. Nutshell, keeper. That's a keeper, definitely. Hitchhiker's Guide is on the besties. Pirates is in the keepies. More pirates here, I think. Yeah, communists. French Lieutenant's Woman, heavily flood damaged, but I'm going to put that with the keepers. That was a difficult choice, that one. Oh, look, Stephen King. He is. Look at say to that. That's in the besties. Different Seasons, if you don't know, is the one that includes The Body. It's like 4 novellas. It's got The Body, and it's got Shawshank Redemption, one called Apt Pupil, and then another one that I always forget because I didn't really like it that much. A Dark and Stormy Night is very funny. That can stay in the keepers. Garrett Carr, that's it. That is a bestie. What's this? Right. So, oh gosh, what do I do with travel books? Am I ever going to go to Barcelona or Berlin? I've already been to Paris and Amsterdam as well. I don't know what to do with these. I've got a phone, haven't I? I'm going to rehome those. I might keep those two because that's 2 places I want to go. So, oh, some poetry, right. Poetry. There's one of my poems in there somewhere, Iota. Random thing that somebody gave me one time at a writing group. Right, that can go in the poetry pile then. Won't be getting rid of any poetry, I don't think. New York, don't think I'm going back to New York anytime soon, so that can go there. Right, what we got here? Oh wow, mercy! Right, I'm going to include this in. I'm going to do a best books about religion at some point. This is a great book. I'm going to put that in my besties. That's obviously in the besties. Don't need to say too much about that. Oh yes, and that as well. And that as well. 100 Years of Solitude. Fantastic book. My besties pile's getting too big now. Right, what else we got? Let's have a look. I recently did a review, or sort of included in one of my vids, D.D. Johnston's first book, Professor Throb, which I love. I wasn't that fussed about that, I'm sorry. I'm going to put that over there. Somebody else can have a look at that. It was all right. It was okay. Do you know, I'm going to let someone else have a read of that. It's a good book. It is a good book. Liked it. This is a very interesting book, and for that reason, I'm going to put it in the keepers. Gerard Manley Hopkins, this poetry. So it goes on the poetry pile. Right. Oh, looky here. George Layton, my old friend. Oh, hello, Jess. Jess has come to see what we're doing. Right, George Layton, great short stories these are. I'm going to put them with my keepies. And when I talk about short stories, I'm going to do a vid on short stories in the not too distant future, so we'll come back to those. Oh, right. Toni Morrison's Beloved. Absolutely one of the best books, American books of all time. I'm going to put that, great ghost story, I'm going to put that with my besties up there. Okay, I think there's a fair bit of poetry here. Poems. I love Simon Armand, absolutely love. This, right. This is one of the first books that I ever bought myself as a teenager from Waterstones in Nottingham. I remember the first time I went to Waterstones in Nottingham, and I just couldn't believe, like, it was just like I'd died and gone to heaven. So that has a very dear place in my heart, that does. Some more poetry. Why is Vernon Godlittle in with the poetry? I don't know. Right, poetry. Let's get those in the poem pile. It's getting a bit precarious, that pile. Right, yeah, Vernon Godlittle. I can't remember that much about this, but I know I absolutely loved it when I first read it, and I think I had a bit of a slight DBC Pierre obsession for a bit. Okay, we've got some Kafka. That's obviously going to be in the besties pile. What else we got here? Oh, you know when you just, books you've like completely forgotten about. The Horrific, what a great title this is, lot. The Horrific, maybe I'll do a video one time, just best titles ever. Horrific Sufferings of the Mind-Reading Monster, Hercules Barefoot, His Wonderful Love and His Terrible Hatred. This book is great, actually. I can't hardly remember anything about it, but I know I loved it. If you like, kind of grotesque, if you like things like, I don't know, what was that American Horror Story that they did? Did they do one like in a circus? Or if you like sort of, the film Freaks. I'm not using that word in a derogatory way. There is a film called Freaks. If you like things like that, or I guess like if you like sort of Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm going to have to go back and have a remind myself what that's all about, that one. But I know when I read it, I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to put it on my besties pile and I'm going to revisit that. Kafka's going on the besties pile as well. Right, what we got here? Let's have a look. Jude the Obscure, yes please, besties. Borges. I'm going to put on the Keepers. Now, we've got some poetry. Liverpool poets, look. Love those guys. And Caroline Duffy. And a bit of randomly Secret soon. So I won't be getting rid of any poetry, I don't think, at this point. Some more poetry. Wilfred Owen. Best war poet that ever lived, in my opinion. I remember doing him at school, and that was my first experience of being really moved by poetry and becoming a pacifist kind of practically overnight. Tony Harrison, R.S. Thomas, Welsh poets, more Caroline Duffy. Yeah, this is a nice little collection of sort of poems about the dark times. More Simon Armitage, more Caroline Duffy. Sylvia Plath, I was absolutely obsessed with at one point when I went back to college in my 30s before I did my degree. What we got here? Right, this. Yeah, My Red Heaven by Lance Olson. I remember this is I think this is kind of a Gothic fiction, I think. I remember reading this and being really impressed by it. I wouldn't say it's a bestie though, but it's definitely a keeper. And it's one I would check out. Yeah, I would definitely check it out. Can't remember that much about it, but I know I was really impressed by it. Victor Hugo, Man Who Laughs is a keeper, but not a bestie. Professor Thrub, I'm going to put, again, it's a keeper. It's not necessarily a bestie. What we got here? Oh, so one of my ambitions is to one day cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats. Let's keep that dream alive, and let's keep that. I'll put these they're going to stay with the keepers, they are. Raymond Carver, Shortcuts, another great short story writer. I'm going to put that in the keepers, definitely. This, I think, is just a short story collection. I wasn't that impressed by it. That can be rehomed. This has got one of my short stories in it, so we'll keep that. Right, what's here? Oh, Don Juan. This was the first text I taught at A-level for English literature. An absolute cracking read. Yeah, what a legend. Byron. I love Byron. I love a bit of Byron. Right, that's a keeper. No, let's go to the poetry, doesn't it? Of course, it's a poem. We've got some Wordsworth. We've got some Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Thomas Hardy, Dylan Thomas, R.S. Thomas. We'll be keeping all of those with our poetry pile that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Right, I might have done with poetry though now. Interrogative Mood is a really interesting book that is a book written all in question. Every sentence is a question, as I remember rightly, I think. Groundbreaking work of genius, says The Guardian. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's very clever and I will be keeping hold of it. Oh, look, Greta. Right. I think that might have been a Christmas present from my niece. Thanks, Bri, but I'm going to rehome it. Samuel Pepys. I don't know if I've ever read this. Is that a terrible confession to make? Why have I got a book in my collection that I've not read? I'll tell you why. Because my brother at one time was getting rid of a bunch of books and I rehomed some of them. I've not read it yet. Let's say that I'm going to at some point get around to that. This. I love Nathan Hill nearly as much as I love John Irving. And he's kind of in that category with like A.M. Holmes. If you like Don DeLillo, if you like Irving, then you should check out Nathan Hill. His first one, The Nix, was great as well. I'm going to put that in my besties pile, that one. Speaking of A.M. Holmes, look, here we go. Music for Torching is my favourite A.M. Homes book. I've talked about her on my videos before. This one, George Saunders, Lincoln in the Bardo, goes straight into my besties pile. I've only read it very recently. Hello, Jess. It's a kind of it's a ghost story. It's amazing. If you've started this and like me struggled at the start, please keep going with it. I'm going to do my favourite ghost stories at some point, and I will talk about that more then. Right, we've got some more poetry. So John Hegley, love John, a very funny poet, John Hegley. This is one of my favourite Simon Armitage collections. Might be signed. Let's have a look. I don't know if I got this one signed. Yeah. That's where I met my hero, Simon Armitage, when I was really, really massively into poetry. I didn't say anything because I clammed up. So they got on the poetry pile. Julie Oranger, short story, great short story collection. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep hold of that. Great book, Ray Bradbury. Love a bit of Ray Bradbury. Right, that's going on my besties pile, that one. Right, what we got here? Oh, a bit of non-fiction. When I was in my political phase of being a socialist. It's a great book. Someone else can have it. Let's try and convert someone else to being a socialist. I don't need that now. So, Nicoolians, that can go in my besties, being as I've made friends with Craig Jordan Baker on Instagram now. Hello, Craig. The Milkman, another great Irish book. That's just going in the keepers, that one. I won't say it's a bestie, but it is a great Irish book. Tom Stoppard, one of the best kind of Hamlet-inspired. It's a play, actually, that. I'm going to put the plays with the poetry. I don't own many plays, but we'll put that with the poetry. Cormier, Chocolate War. I prefer I Am the Cheese, but I'm going to say let's let some teenager find that in a charity shop. Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists, I will keep. Right, what we got here? More Simon Armitage with the poetry. Right, To Kill a Mockingbird, obviously, absolute classic. That's going to go in the keepers. So it's not one of my favourites. It isn't one of my favourites, but it is an absolute classic. Hound of the Baskervilles. So I studied this, I think, at one point. I'm going to keep that. I am going to keep that. Henry James Turn the Screw, also I will keep. This, I love this. I'm going to do, I think, a video at some point of allegories, the best stories that are allegories. Yeah, I love that. Old Man in the Sea. Here it is, right, that's got to go in my besties, that has, because when I was a teenager, that was like my favourite book. Oh, look, Stephen King. Why have I randomly got... Look, I've got one instalment of The Green Mile. I had this in it came in instalments. I don't know if there were 6 parts to it, something like that. For some reason, I've only got one. That's a shame. Right, I'm going to keep that in the besties pile for old time's sake, because I did just absolutely love Stephen King. 1984. Do you dare me to rehome this? How much scandal will this cause if do you know what? Look, I'm rehoming it. I've read it. I'm not going to read it ever again. And it's not one of my favourites at all. Animal Farm is well better. I'm going to rehome that. I read Nut Hampson's, what's it called? Hunger, which I thought was great. But I didn't like this one as much. It was all right. I didn't DNF it. I did stick with it, but I'd never read it again. Sisters Brothers, great book, yeah, loved that, absolutely loved that. I'm going to keep that. Things Fall Apart, I studied at uni when we did post-colonialism, and that is a great book. I'm not going to get rid of that. And obviously he's quoting W.B. Yeats, The Second Coming in the title. What just fell out of there? Some random train tickets. Right, that can go. How Fiction Works, that's just a uni book. More Raymond Carver, that can go in the keepers. Ragged Trouser Philanthropist, I'm going to keep in the keepers, just for the message. David Lodge, Art of Fiction, that can go. That was a uni book. Oh, Carol Shield. Right, there is a story. It's a short story collection. And there's a story called Various Miracles, which is one of my favourite stories of all time. And when I do my short story vid, I will talk about that in more detail. So that is definitely going in my besties. We're coming to the end. Guys. Right. More poetry, I think, here. Poems for the Retired Nihilist. great, love it. We've got a bit of Browning, we've got a play, we've got that's from when I used to teach. Look at all the notes in that, look, because I used to teach it. That was a long time ago. The Raven, Edgar Allan Poe, Ancient Mariner, great poem, great poem. I love that poem. And Oscar Wilde. Right, they can all go in the poetry pile. They're not going anywhere. And right, one of the very, very few science fiction books I own, A Space Odyssey, which I read on my MA as kind of part of my research. I'm never going to look at that again, so that can be rehomed, that can. Yeah, this one, Hunger, Nut Hampson, great book. I'm going to put that with my keepers. And this is a great book. John Fowles, The Collector. If you like it dark, my God, read that. That's a great book. Is it one of my best? Or is it just it's just a keeper, I think. There we go. Oh, Jess. Jess is wondering what's going on. So we've got, these are the besties. These are my keepers. These are going to be rehomed. And that's all the poetry. I've got more poetry than I thought I'd got, actually. There you go. Thanks for watching. If you want to comment me about any of these books, if you want to argue with my decisions, by all means, do that. Comment, like, subscribe and all that business. See you next time.